Hi, my name is Anna and I'm a tech writer at road.cc. With the support of Ribble, in this video we're going to be looking at female optimised training, that is, working with your hormones. Female physiology is very different to men's, so what works well for them may not necessarily transfer very well over to us. With our hormones changing throughout the month, aligning training to work with the body rather than against it allows us to make the most out of each session and perform at our best. I'm going to be recording my experiences following an optimised training plan for my natural period cycle of 29 days, looking at when it's best to pack in the different levels of intensities and how to fuel appropriately. Ribble have kindly supplied me with their top-end endurance SLR disc bike as ridden by the Drops Lecole UCI Women's Continental team, to help me complete my training and hopefully set some PBs out on the road. But first, let's take a look at some of the science behind the menstrual cycle and how that should guide the training we do. I spoke to Jasmijn Muller of Be the Egg Cycle Coaching, and she explained why you should track and train with your menstrual cycle rather than ignoring your hormonal changes.
So the main benefits are that that your physiology and your hormones and your training are all aligned. It is actually it's the opposite, that if you're trying to follow a standard training plan where where we've got a progressive load, where a particular session gets a little bit harder every week, if you're trying to do that against your physiology, you might not be able to achieve your goals. And by rejigging your schedule a bit to do the hard stuff when your hormones allow you to do the harder stuff, and to back off a little bit when you're in a different hormonal environment, that way you can get better results. The other thing takeaway from it is that in theory, you might want to schedule particular training sessions at a particular time of the month. But in practice, we don't always have that luxury. So it was also about learning how can you mitigate, for some menstrual symptoms, for example, to have less pain and adapt your either your training or your nutrition in a way that you can still perform well particularly on race days.
It's the start of my cycle and the beginning of a month-long training plan Jazz has set me based on the length and the symptoms of my period cycle. It's day 2, and after an easy run yesterday, Jazz has given me the choice of 2 sessions today, so I can pick the intensity best suited to how I'm feeling right now. I would have assumed I'd have had to pick the easier day today, but although I did have a really absolutely awful heavy day of bleeding yesterday and not the best mornings, actually right now I'm feeling quite good, so I'm actually going to pick the harder HIIT session and see how it goes. It was really nice having the choice though, because another times I would have preferred to do the easier session. So I'm going to be doing 3 blocks of 10 times 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. This is working on my VO2 max, the ability to repeatedly surge above threshold. I'm at the start of the follicular phase. This first half of your cycle is the time to pack in the harder sessions as soon as you can after your symptoms have subsided. For me, this month that was the end of day 2, but it doesn't mean it's going to be like that every month. To take advantage of the low hormone phase, Jazz packed in some tough sessions in this first week. On day 3, I did a gravel ride at tempo with some digs on the climbs. By day 4, I was just spotting, so I felt good for a 3-hour endurance ride, which was backloaded with harder efforts. Day 5 was a recovery day off the bike, before 2 hard back-to-back days, properly attacking a Zwift race on day 6, and then an hour-long unders and overs workout on day 7. Racing with the B men on the 29-kilometre Utopian mountain route with a 500 metre climb certainly was a killer workout, but I felt strong and up for attacking the second hard workout on day 7. Today is day 8 and I'm inside on my yoga mat as Jazz has sent me some resistance training so I can benefit from estrogen's anabolic effect while it's still unopposed by progesterone. Recent studies have showed that strength training in the follicular phase saw higher gains in muscle strength, muscle diameter and fast twitch type 2 muscle fibres than in the luteal phase. As I'm in the follicular phase now, Jazz has set me some upper body strength exercises with these dumbbells here, specific to the needs of cyclocross. But this is basically a good time of the month to do any sort of strength training. First things first, I'm going to go on a run to warm up, and then I'm going back here doing some exercises. Today is day 10 and I am doing a polarised ride. So that means going really hard at times and really easy at times. So basically like polar opposites. So yeah, today is a Saturday and it's absolutely beautiful out here. There's lots of short climbs around here and I've got a few in mind that I'd like to improve my time up. One of them is Cobb Lane, which is the steepest climb that I know of around here. So it'd be really cool to improve my time up there. I find that doing these sorts of efforts up climbs is really good. It kind of like dictates the length of the interval itself. I'm in my late follicular phase, which means that progesterone is low and estrogen is rising. Jazz says this means you should be best equipped to deal with the training load, and also it's when you're at your strongest, so most likely to get PBs. So it'd be interesting to see if I can get any today, and in any case it's going to be a good workout. I am at the top of Cobb Lane now, just in my first major effort of today. It's only about a 300 metre long climb, but it ramps up to 22%, average gradient of over 16, so quite a tough one. There's a descent into it, but I had a car that came really close just before, so I didn't really get as much speed into it as I was hoping. But yeah, up the climb felt really good. The bike feels so responsive, yeah, even with the fairly deep wheels. But yeah, on to the next climb now. I'm back home now and all cleaned up, so just looking through my ride, and yeah, really happy with how I did. I managed to get a new peak 1 minute power for this year of 468 watts, and I massively improved my time up Cobb Lane. So I knocked 27 seconds off, bringing my time down from 2 minutes and 5 seconds down to 1 minute 38. So yeah, quite a big difference. I improved on 5 out of the 7 efforts today. I vividly remember the second to last one had a nasty headwind, so not too surprised I didn't do as well on that one. And then by the last one, my legs were definitely shot. So yeah, overall really quite happy. I think being on the Rebel bike and doing this at the right time of the month certainly helped. I felt really good out there today. Tomorrow, Jazz has set me a 3-hour endurance ride on the road, keeping it nice and steady on the flats and then going up to sweet spot on the climbs. She's also set me another one of those dumbbell sessions so I can make the most of the follicular strength training benefits. Day 13 and day 14 followed a similar pattern to week 1, as I'm still in the follicular phase. Well, late follicular now. I had another sweaty Zwift race on Tuesday, and then 2 20-minute blocks of overs and unders on Wednesday, but this time increasing the duration of the VO2 max effort up to 30 seconds. This felt tough, but manageable. It is day 17, and I'm now entering the luteal phase. This means a lot of changes are happening to my body, and with this, Jazz has mixed up my training. A rise in progesterone means there's an increase in your resting heart rate and during exercise. Your metabolic rate is up, which leads to an increased appetite, and your body begins favouring fatty acids for fuel over carbohydrates. Your liver's production and release of glucose is suppressed during exercise, which makes it more difficult to hit the higher intensities during training and make the desired adaptations from hard sessions. So Jazz says it's an opportune time to go for longer, steadier rides and get some time in those zones. Jazz has set me a 3.5-hour gravel ride for today, and this is why I'm on a different bike, my Camino. I'm going to be heading to the South Downs and then following it east and just seeing where I end up before it's time to turn back, which is going to be a load of fun. Rather than carb loading during this phase, Jazz says you need to add carbohydrates during exercise in order to perform optimally. So I've made sure that I filled up my bottles with energy powder, and I'll also be bringing some bars along to have as I go. In week 3, I had a rest day on Monday and a Zwift race on Tuesday as usual. But unlike previous weeks, when I then did another hard session on Wednesday, Jazz split it up. So instead on Wednesday, I did an easy run, and on Thursday, which was day 22, I had sweet spot micro intervals to spread out the load. It was definitely good having a break between the 2 harder sessions this week, and it meant I felt a lot more energised for the second workout. Today is day 25, and I'm heading off on a 4-hour road ride this Sunday for another long day in the saddle after yesterday's 3.5 hours. Jazz calls this a playtime ride, so basically it's completely free with no zones or targets set, just going with what feels right and what I feel up for. I've recently started the PMS mitigation protocol, which Jazz recommends, to try and minimise the effects of the premenstrual symptoms, which I get quite badly, particularly with lower back pain. I've been taking 250 mg of magnesium supplements and 30 mg of zinc. Magnesium normalises the action of the hormones on the central nervous system by boosting the brain's inhibitory neurotransmitter. Jazz explains it's good to take as it can help improve your mood and sleep, as well as help relax the muscles in the uterus area. Zinc has the effect of reducing inflammation and prostaglandins that cause cramps. It also reduces cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Jazz recommends taking it after food to avoid causing nausea. Jazz also recommends avoiding dairy, which I'm quite gutted about. I normally have cheese with a topping of pasta, and I love cheese toasties. But yeah, A1 casein found in dairy can cause a mast cell and histamine response, which can make periods heavier and more painful. So it'll be interesting seeing if I cut dairy out my diet, if that has a positive effect. I've been continuing to take multivitamin tablets that contain vitamin D, and I've also been having more anti-inflammatory foods, so that's lots of colourful fruit and veg. It's day 27, which means I'm in week 4 of the training plan Jazz set, as well as in week 4 of my period cycle. This means I'm just a few days away from bleeding again, and I'm at the end of my luteal phase where I'm going to be feeling the worst. This is why Jazz has set me a deload week this week. As it's the time of the month when you're likely to be feeling at your worst, Jazz says it's an excellent opportunity to have some recovery so your body can absorb the training you've done over the last few weeks, and so you're fresh again for when your period ends and your follicular phase begins. Jazz has set me a Zwift race for today, as she says it's good to try to do a race before or during your period, as you're likely to have other events in the future that also fall at this time of the month. But she also said that it's best to approach it not with any big expectations. I didn't have the best of night's sleep last night, and I've been feeling quite irritable all day as I've got a load of lower back pain. So yeah, probably wouldn't have picked a Zwift race today if it wasn't set, but Jazz has set me one, so I'm gonna go and do it. I picked a shorter course this week. It's 17 kilometers, so it'll be hard but fast and over with quickly. And so, yeah, I can just get it done, and then tomorrow I have an easy run. It is day 29, and after an easy run yesterday, I'm finishing off my cycle with a super chilled Yoga with Adrian YouTube video that is specifically designed to reduce PMS and cramps. Yoga is said to activate the parasympathetic autonomic nervous system response and therefore reduces pain intensity. And specific poses can also bring blood flow to painful areas. The things to remember are, as your bleeding finishes, you enter the follicular phase, and this is when you're able to best execute hard sessions, and also when your body is best able to adapt to the training stimulus. So it's a good idea to pack in your higher intensity stuff then. I felt really strong in these first 2 weeks. I managed to execute all my training fine, and I even managed to hit some power PBs. After these first 2 weeks, and when you're halfway through, you enter the luteal phase. Your energy levels are likely to be dipping, and now this is the time to start adding carbs during your rides rather than before. And so it's a good time to gear your training towards longer, steadier rides. Towards the end of the luteal phase, you'll likely be experiencing PMS symptoms and not feeling in the best place to train, and I didn't, to be honest. You should take advantage of this to get in some recovery, focusing on stretching and low intensity work, as well as trying to implement Jazz's mitigation protocol in order to reduce the effect of the PMS symptoms. All good training plans will incorporate a recovery week. For men, many will follow a pattern of 3-week build, 1 week rest. But for us, we'll want to align recovery with the final part of the luteal phase. This may mean having a training cycle that's less than 4 weeks, or slightly longer. It depends on the length of your menstrual cycle. I've learnt a lot from the way Jazz has structured my training to align with my menstrual cycle, so massive thanks to Jasmijn Muller of Be the Egg Cycle Coaching. It's worked so well for me this past month. It's definitely an approach I'll be sticking with. I've now come to the end of one full cycle. I hope you found this informative. Please hit the like button if you did and click subscribe for more.